Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
All right, look, we wrapping up day one of joint practice. How we did today, fellas?
Lots of energy. Today.
Yeah, we turned up today. We got better. We made some money today, baby. Hey, we made some money today, baby.
That's what we should do after every.
Let's make some money right now, guys.
Yeah.
Let's make some money. Let's get some hot takes.
Oh no.
Oh,
Macadax thing got unplugged again.
Oh, your
feedback Thursday.
Your cord. We can't hear you.
Yeah. Great start.
Wow.
There it is.
Wait.
Yeah.
There he is. He's back.
Wow, I think we've discovered on this this Midwest company road trip that I've been on here that I need a new microphone cord for my remote podcast.
Judd's been there.
Man. Yeah, this is like my microphone cord is like Tyler Malley's labrum. It's just it's frayed. It's hanging by a thread. The Twins traded for this cord about a month and a half ago, but they forgot to look at the medical reports. So, yeah.
Can there be some type of lemon law on pitchers where you can return them immediately upon inspection of, I guess this guy, this could be the third time?
It's amazing. This front office has an uncanny ability to be sold a car with no engine, right? They show up to the used car lot. Oh, you're gonna like this price here. This is a prime vehicle here. Never mind the fact that it has 600,000 miles on it and no engine. But
sir, this is a Corvette. You know what? Sight unseen, I'll take it.
So anyhow, this is Mackey and Judd, and we're going to give you guys a little feedback Friday on a Thursday here because Doogie can't join us until Friday. So we're going to do some reckless speculation Thursday on a Friday and screw everything up and confuse you all. And so we have dug into mostly the SKOR North app feedback tab here, where you can always send us your comments, concerns, critiques, any sort of speculative ideas you might have. A lot of Viking stuff here today. Let's start with Alex Benson via the SKOR North app. A recurring goal for the Vikings this year, especially from what I think he's saying Declan is the one that kind of leads the charge on this, is for the offense to meet their potential and be a top 5 offense. What makes it interesting is we have the same offensive weapons as last year, and the only main change is the coaching. So I did some research on points per quarter and half to see if there's anything that could be tied to coaching. It felt like Mike Zimmer sat on leads last year, but I wanted to see if the stats supported it. So here's what I found. He does a deep statistical dive. I'm going to give you this summary. So Alex found that when the Vikings were leading at halftime, and I think this is just last year. So when the Vikings were leading at halftime, they averaged 11.5 points in the second half. But when they were trailing or tied at halftime, they averaged 14.1 points in the second half.
Nice.
So they averaged almost 3 extra points per half when they went into the half tied or trailing. Hey, time to go here. And so he continues, my opinion is that when the Vikings were trailing, the offense was able to score as needed, and the defense even held up pretty well in the fourth quarter. But when the Vikings had the lead, poor conservative coaching led to low scoring in the second half for the offense. Do you buy this statistical analysis from Alex?
Yes, and great work. Great work to actually put some statistical oomph behind what we all thought that we saw. I like that. The other thing is, too, when you are as bad late in half and late in games as this team was, that comes down to coaching, discipline. So, yeah, I totally buy it. And I also buy this, though. So, yes, the skill position guys are back. But when you use them differently, and I can tell you, in the joint practice yesterday, Dalvin Cook is split out quite a bit. This is not the same old, Dalvin Cook's our bell cow, and damn it, here's how we football. So one is the skill position players are going to be used differently, and yes, that's going to make a difference. I always will go back to the Detroit game here. Mm-hmm. First half, Justin Jefferson, 7 catches, 103 yards. Second half, shut down. Oh, well, but there was nothing that could be done. Jefferson was taken out. That is folly. And I even see now some people on Twitter who back then said, what are the Vikings supposed to do? Are saying, oh, look at how they're using Jefferson. The second thing is, I would argue the offensive line is going to be better. Now, Bradbury scares me. Darisaw, though, I think is developing into a quality left tackle. he didn't play till what, the 7th or 8th game. So like he did improve, but he got thrown in there and had been hurt. So if you're going to give me Kirk's blindside being protected by an ascending player, that's big. It appears from what we saw, and Dex and I talked about on PD, it appears Ed Ingram is now the starting right guard. He's a second-round pick. That could be so don't dismiss the fact that Kirk Cousins should have a better line protecting him. And I know it's not as sexy a thing as a Jefferson or a Cook, skill position guys, but do not dismiss the fact that that becomes vitally important. And so I think both things can be true. I think the coaching, yes, I honestly think until I'm proven wrong that is going to help this offense take a step. And the protection from the offensive line should be better. Those two things give me confidence.
I'm trying to find it. I can't. I thought I saved something in my notes here because we did some research last year, toward the end of the year, on how many times in the 8 years of Mike Zimmer did the Vikings truly blow an opponent out, where they take an early lead and they throttle down and they score 40, or they have a 3-touchdown lead. And it was crazy how few times this happened. Like I think we went back 5 or 6 seasons, and the Vikings had, I believe, one 21-point lead, or one or two 20-point leads on opponents over years. And you know, it's not like, I think sometimes we probably over-exaggerate how many blowouts there are in the NFL. But in any given week, you can see like 2 or 3 teams win 41-10 or 38-14 or something, and it doesn't happen, at least in the Mike Zimmer era, for these Vikings. And there's a little, there's that great clip of the people dug up of Kirk Cousins sitting on the sidelines in Washington with Kevin O'Connell as his quarterbacks coach. Some people probably remember seeing this on social media. And Kirk is they're having a discussion about, hey, we've got a 2-touchdown lead, and Kirk's kind of using Kevin as his therapist in the middle of the game, saying, these are the moments where it can be kind of tough because we're leading by 2 touchdowns or whatever he says, and I don't want to make a mistake that turns the game around, but we got to also keep the foot on the gas pedal, and even Kirk has trouble with that sometimes. So this is something I would love to see change. I would also love to see the data on every other team in the NFL. I mean, do other teams tend to score more when they're trailing or tied at halftime in the second half? Probably, because you have to.
Yep.
But Mike Zimmer loved to keep things close and play close to the vest football in the second half. And there's a lot of second halves. The Cardinals game is the most prominent one, where the Vikings got off to a great start and then took their foot off the pedal in the third quarter and led a team back in the game. Stop doing that. Just go win the game 41-20,
And with no analysis at all, I can tell you this from just the eye test. What Mike did in Mike's world made sense, right? Because what Mike did was Mike wanted to run the football, not necessarily to score points. He wanted to eat clock to keep his defense fresh as possible so that they could, in his mind, dominate. I would say this, just in the most simplistic terms. What Kevin O'Connell, I think, will want to do is maximize opportunity, which Mike offensively did not do, and dagger opponents. And that's what Kirk is like, I mean, at 14 down, but if I throw a pick, now it's 7 down. Okay, you can't think like that. A winning philosophy is, how do we go up by 21? How do we end this football game early? And this is where I think in 2022, you guys, it makes a lot more sense to be going with an offensive coach, because there was a time where what Mike thought was probably spot on, 70s, 80s perhaps. But as we morph now to this league wants points, and the illegal contact calls are going to be another example of this league wants quarterbacks to thrive. I think the question becomes not how do we run the football and waste clock so our defense can be fresh. It's this. If we need to get into a run and gun, NBA-like fast break game, how do we win it?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they should. It's funny because early on, I feel like, and there was a couple of those games last year, I guess, too, but the first year of Cousins and DiFilippo, when they were airing it out more,
yep,
there was like 2 or 3 of those games, right? There was the Packers game that ended in a tie, and then there was that Rams game and maybe a couple others. So they definitely got into some shootouts there. Okay, Pulford Skoll says, who had the Hennigan projection for Write That Down? Bye-bye, ha ha ha. That was me.
That's you.
Yeah, I had Thomas Hennigan making the roster.
It's okay.
That's
Was
really
he hurt? Or was he hurt? Or
Yes.
Okay.
He was listed as hurt, but I mean, I think he is the poster child for a practice squad guy.
So who are your what are the punt returner power rankings right now?
Amir Smith-Marset.
So it's probably just his job.
Yes, he is atop the depth chart. I think KJ Osborne is second, but Smith-Marset, I believe his roster spot is completely secure, and he is the fourth guy. And I think to justify that completely, it's going to make sense in their minds to also have him be the first string punt return guy.
Yeah. At the top of the dog food power rankings on Mackey and Judd sits Nutrisource, specifically the Nutrisource chicken and rice food. So you'll see on the YouTube screen here, this is a very excited Maya Mackey. She is ready for a gigantic scoop of Nutrisource. And over in St. Louis Park, Stella has become a big fan of Nutrisource as well, Judd.
Absolutely. She loves the food, the snacks. In fact, not only her, but her good friend Ryder. He also has found that the Nutrisource lifestyle, well, let me tell you right now, it is delicious. So, yes, two fans in SLP. Nutrisource, both the food and the snacks are winners in my house.
We're all about digestion and gut health here on Mackey and Judd, both as humans and as canines, and that's where Nutrisource comes in to help our doggy friends. NutrisourcePetFoods.com to find a retailer near you. NutrisourcePetFoods.com. Also, a shout out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, helping us keep these microphones on and ranting every single day. If you're a business owner, you're not going to find a better partner to help protect against risks and maximize the success of your business than Federated. They've been around for over 100 years. They're based in Owatonna, Minnesota, and you can find a full list of industries they protect and tools and resources they provide at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Continuing here with our Feedback Friday on a Thursday, Mark Salisbury via the SKOR North app says, okay, I've actually seen this from a few old school Vikings fans. I'm going to correct it, but I'll read it first here. I've been a Vikings fan longer than any of you guys on the show, so I know the pain of not winning a Super Bowl, but I've never heard you guys mention this before, so if you have, I apologize. The Vikings were the last team to win the NFL championship before the NFL switched over to the Super Bowl format. Their opponent was the Cleveland Browns. Neither team has ever won a Super Bowl. This is actually incorrect. The Vikings were the last team to win the NFL championship before the merger, but the merger happened after 4 or 5 Super Bowls. The last team to win the NFL championship before the Super Bowl format was the Green Bay Packers in 1965. They beat the Cleveland Browns at Lambeau Field for the NFL championship. That was their 9th NFL championship. The Vikings won the NFL championship in 1969, beating the Browns, which is correct. But the Super Bowl, this was Super Bowl 4. So the Super Bowl had already been in effect for a half a decade at that point.
Yep, Packers, Jets. So yes, they're the league kept its championship game, but actually was a conference championship game.
Yes.
So,
it was still called the NFL champ. They are the last NFL champion, but it was basically a conference championship game because there was another game.
They still gagged. Let's call a spade a spade. Double-digit favorites against Len Dawson and the Chiefs, and they gagged.
Yeah, they lost 23-7 in that game.
That was a great Chiefs team, but they were like 12-point favorites.
Yeah. So I don't know. I know that there's some old school Vikings fans that kind of celebrate. Wait a second, we won the NFL championship in 1969, but it wasn't the last game. The Super Bowl was very much in full effect. Yeah, anyhow, let's not try and sugarcoat this. They've never won the Super Bowl. They've never won the last game of the season, and it's time to get a move on here. Brent Nowaki via the SKOR North app says, Kirk Cousins question for you guys. This is funny. If Kirk was the quarterback for the Jets instead of Mark Sanchez back in the day, would the Jets have won a Super Bowl?
No. No, 0.
Well, didn't they go to a conference championship game with Mark Sanchez?
In 2009, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they went to 2.
They played the early. It was Jets Broncos, Jets Colts, right? in the early game in 2009, which would have been January 2010 before the Vikings played the Saints. But no, I don't think that Kirk Cousins, like if we're talking about like Mark Sanchez, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Kirk, right? Because I saw a tweet about if Cousins had been the Niners quarterback in the Super Bowl instead of Garoppolo, that they win. Yeah. I can't get there. I'm not sure about you guys. I just can't.
So real quick, for more information here. So the Jets did go to back-to-back conference championship games in 2009, 2010. Would Kirk Cousins have won a shootout against Peyton Manning?
No.
In the 2009 season championship? So the Colts won that game 30-17. They accelerated in the second half. The Jets were leading 17-13 at halftime, and then the Colts shut the Jets out in the second half and scored 17 unanswered points. So I guess would Kirk have outdueled Peyton Manning in the second half of that game is the question.
No. And then in 2010, when they went back again and they played the Pittsburgh Steelers with Mark Sanchez, it was 24-0 at one point in that game. Now the final score is 24-19. So the Jets did put on a little bit of a rally, but if Kirk was down 24-0 to that team,
well, I think the argument is that he wouldn't be down 24-0 because he's better than Mark Sanchez. But would Kirk have gone on the road against that defense in Pittsburgh?
No,
I can't get there.
No,
sorry.
Yeah,
All
he's done nothing. Oh yeah, that's insincere Judd right there.
All due respect.
You guys know
I'm sure he's a nice guy, but
do you effing like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you guys broke that down on Purple Daily for today without me, but yeah. So he dropped an F-bomb.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He completed a pass to Thielen, and I didn't hear it because I was down the sideline a bit. But yeah, like Chris Long and those guys all said, he said, "Do you effing like that?"
Is that the first documented
F-bomb?
F-bomb?
Right there with
really?
With Dad right there. Dad was probably very upset. I swear to God, I heard one last year in camp as well, but I can never tell if it's the official F-bomb or if it's a deviation sometimes. But I swear he dropped a real F-bomb in a Vikings practice, not a joint practice last year.
I think that's the first time I've personally ever heard any sort of like F-bomb encounter with Kirk Cousins. Maybe this is a new. I like this. If this is a new edgier Kirk that relates to teammates, this might sound crazy, but I don't know how you can relate to your football teammates if you refuse to mix in a casual F-bomb every now and then, or like an emotionally charged F-bomb. It's football.
Yeah. He's almost made me drop F-bombs on this show before Kirk Cousins plays. So I completely understand that. But yes, I love this new Kirk, if that's new Kirk.
But I think the most important part of your point is it doesn't have to be casual, but like if you never get hyped up enough to be like, yeah, believe, F that or something, then I'm with you. Like football is all about passion. And if you're always like, hey guys, that was great. You're like, no, dude.
Yeah, why are you holding back on us, man? Yeah. Don't hold back on us.
Exactly.
It's okay. You don't have to drop them left and right like Pat Williams.
Guys.
Yeah. Cameron here via the SKOR North app says, if the Dolphins cut Teddy Bridgewater, is it time for a reunion? I don't always agree with your opinions, but we can agree to disagree on things. Keep up the great content. It's got me through some tough times. Are there rumblings that the Dolphins are going to cut Teddy Bridgewater, or is this just
I haven't heard
reckless speculation from Cam?
I think Tua has more the inside track to be the starter than Teddy does, from what I've seen from afar. But if they were to cut Teddy, then I mean, yes, he is the perfect QB2. Like he is the perfect. If he has to step in and make a spot start, I love those chances. I would be all aboard this idea if they cut Teddy Bridgewater.
So it's fun. Like I love this discussion, and it's a great question. That being said, the odds of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell bringing Teddy back here to sit behind Kirk are somewhere between 0 and -5.
But isn't he the exact type of backup if he was available? I don't think he is. I think you want him behind Tua, but he's the exact type of backup you would want, right? Very, very clearly a backup. He's not as good as Kirk, but a great locker room guy, leader, has no ego. He's fine just sort of helping Kirk Cousins out, but if you have to put him in, he stands a better chance to win games than Sean Mannion and Kellen Mond.
Absolutely, he does. But the two problems with that are one, you would be planting him back in a place where there certainly was popularity, and two, his teammates would love him. who are we trying to coddle? Who are we trying to take care of? And that's key, and that's still around, you guys. Like these guys do not want to. These guys have zero interest in offending Kirk. And if Teddy was at the locker by Kirk, like the guy is, people love him, right or wrong. There is zero chance, in my opinion, that these guys would tempt fate, because at some point in time, if Kirk struggled too, there would be a hue and cry for give Teddy a chance. Well, but I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think they should. I mean, I get it, but just if bring someone in if there's an upgrade and some help.
Gardner Minshew, though, would probably be less of a threat than Teddy as far as the perceived threat.
Oh, I don't know, dude. I think people love Gardner Minshew.
I'm all on
Fans love Gardner Minshew too. Very, very tantalizing